Imagine waking up to news that a deadly biohazard virus has begun spreading rapidly across the country, turning ordinary people into aggressive, zombie-like creatures. Panic grips the nation as hospitals overflow, cities descend into chaos, and the normal rules of society collapse. In a crisis like this, the responsibility to protect civilians and restore order would largely fall on the U.S. Army, the most powerful and well-trained military force in the world. But the question that haunts many is this: is the U.S. Army truly prepared to face such an unprecedented and terrifying biohazard zombie attack? Can soldiers trained for conventional warfare adapt quickly to combat infected hordes and contain a rapidly spreading viral outbreak? Or would the scale and nature of the threat overwhelm even their most advanced resources and training? In this video, we will explore the reality behind the U.S. Army's preparedness, examining their biological defense programs, specialized training, and crisis response strategies. We'll look at how they would approach this nightmare scenario and whether they have the tools, knowledge, and coordination necessary to protect the nation from one of the most unusual and frightening threats imaginable. The U.S. Army is known for its strength, discipline, and ability to operate in the most hostile environments on Earth. They are experts in combat, logistics, and crisis management, but a biohazard zombie attack presents a uniquely complex challenge that goes beyond conventional military operations. It's not just about fighting an enemy with guns and tanks. It's about confronting a biological threat that transforms humans into violent, uncontrollable carriers of a deadly virus. To meet this challenge, the Army relies on cutting-edge research institutions like the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases USARID, specialized units trained in chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear defense, and extensive drills designed to prepare soldiers for operating in contaminated environments. This video will dive into those preparations and reveal how the Army's response would unfold from initial detection and containment to rapid deployment and long-term recovery efforts. Understanding the Army's real capabilities helps us separate fact from fiction and provides insight into how prepared the nation truly is to face a biohazard that feels like it belongs in a horror movie, but could have serious real-world consequences. When considering how the U.S. Army would respond to a biohazard zombie attack, the first point to understand is the nature of the threat itself. Unlike conventional warfare, a biohazard zombie outbreak combines the challenges of a contagious disease with the unpredictability of hostile, infected individuals who were once civilians. This dual threat requires the Army not only to fight an aggressive enemy, but also to contain and manage a rapidly spreading pandemic. The virus would likely transmit through bites, bodily fluids, or airborne particles, turning infected humans into violent carriers incapable of rational thought, making every encounter potentially deadly. The sheer speed at which the infection could spread through dense urban centers would pose a critical challenge, demanding swift and coordinated military action. To address this, the U.S. Army depends heavily on its specialized biological defense programs, most notably the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases USARID. USARID is tasked with researching and developing defenses against highly infectious diseases, including viruses that could be weaponized or cause widespread outbreaks. Soldiers undergo training to recognize symptoms of biological threats, properly use personal protective equipment, and implement decontamination procedures. This preparation is vital because it reduces the risk of soldiers themselves becoming infected while on duty. The Army also equips its personnel with advanced protective gear designed to shield against airborne pathogens and contaminated environments, enabling troops to operate safely in the most hazardous conditions. Within the Army, specialized chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear CBRN defense units play a crucial role in a biohazard response. These teams are trained to detect and neutralize biological agents, conduct site decontamination, and support the broader force with expertise in hazardous material handling. Their training includes operating in full protective suits for extended periods, managing contaminated casualties, and coordinating with medical and scientific teams. Beyond CBRN specialists, infantry and special operations forces receive additional training to fight effectively in biocontaminated zones, adapting combat tactics to the realities of limited visibility, encumbering protective gear, and the psychological toll of facing infected humans who were once civilians. Rapid response and containment are at the core of the Army's strategy to prevent a biohazard zombie virus from spreading uncontrollably. Upon detecting an outbreak, the Army would deploy quickly to establish quarantine zones, restricting movement to contain the infection within defined areas. This would involve setting up checkpoints on highways, controlling entry and exit points in cities, and collaborating with other federal agencies like the CDC and FEMA to manage public safety. The Army's logistical capabilities enable rapid mobilization of personnel and resources, allowing for the establishment of field hospitals, supply chains for protective equipment, and secure zones for uninfected civilians. Controlled evacuations would be coordinated to remove non-infected populations from hot zones while minimizing exposure. However, fighting a zombie outbreak presents unique challenges that go beyond typical military engagements. One of the biggest difficulties is distinguishing infected individuals from civilians who may be asymptomatic or in the early stages of infection. This uncertainty complicates rules of engagement, as soldiers must make split-second decisions about friend or foe. The sheer numbers of infected can also overwhelm troops, forcing them to operate under extreme stress and fatigue. Supply lines might be disrupted due to widespread panic and infrastructure breakdowns, complicating resupply efforts for ammunition, food, and medical supplies. Moreover, maintaining troop morale becomes critical, as soldiers face psychological strain from battling infected former humans and witnessing mass devastation. To bolster their defense capabilities, the Army invests in cutting-edge technologies. Surveillance drones equipped with thermal imaging and sensors could monitor infected zones from a safe distance, providing real-time intelligence on zombie movements and outbreak hotspots. Artificial intelligence systems might analyze data from multiple sources to predict infection spread and optimize troop deployments. Research into vaccines, antiviral drugs, and potential cures is ongoing, with the hope that medical breakthroughs could stop the virus or at least reduce its lethality. Protective gear is continuously improved to be more lightweight and effective, allowing soldiers to move faster and fight more efficiently in contaminated environments. The Army also engages in regular simulations and training exercises designed to replicate the conditions of a biological outbreak. These drills test the coordination between military units, public health agencies, and emergency responders. Lessons learned from these exercises help refine tactics, improve communication protocols, and identify gaps in preparedness. For instance, pandemic response drills have highlighted the importance of rapid information sharing and the difficulties in enforcing quarantine in densely populated areas. While no exercise can fully replicate the chaos of a real zombie outbreak, these training efforts increase the likelihood that the Army can mount an effective response when disaster strikes. Public perception of the Army's readiness for a zombie apocalypse is often shaped by movies, TV shows, and video games that dramatize military actions in such scenarios. While these depictions exaggerate certain elements for entertainment, they do reflect real concerns about how conventional forces would adapt to an unconventional threat. In reality, the U.S. Army combines practical scientific research, specialized training, and advanced technology to prepare for a wide range of biological hazards, including those as extreme as a zombie virus. However, despite this preparation, the unpredictability and scale of such an outbreak mean that no system is foolproof. Success would depend on rapid detection, effective interagency cooperation, and the ability to adapt strategies as the situation evolves. In summary, while the U.S. Army is equipped with extensive biological defense capabilities and trained personnel to respond to biohazard threats, a zombie virus outbreak would test the limits of their preparedness. Their response would rely on a combination of scientific expertise, tactical deployment, rapid containment measures, and advanced technology. The Army's ability to maintain order, protect civilians, and neutralize the infected hinges on their training, resources, and coordination with other agencies. Understanding these efforts not only demystifies what might seem like a fantastical scenario, but also highlights the importance of ongoing investment in biological threat preparedness to safeguard the nation from any emerging dangers. A biohazard zombie attack might sound like the stuff of science fiction and Hollywood thrillers, but it presents a fascinating lens through which to examine the U.S. Army's real-world preparedness for extreme biological threats. Their extensive research programs, specialized training, rapid response capabilities, and cutting-edge technologies show a military deeply committed to defending the nation against even the most unconventional dangers. However, the unpredictable nature of a zombie outbreak with infected individuals spreading chaos, the difficulty of containment, and the psychological toll on troops would pose immense challenges that test the limits of any response system. Ultimately, while no one can guarantee complete readiness for a scenario as unprecedented as this, the U.S. Army's ongoing efforts to prepare for biological emergencies inspire confidence that they would stand as a critical line of defense. Understanding their approach not only helps separate myth from reality, but also reminds us of the importance of vigilance and innovation in protecting our future from threats both seen and unseen.